Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of the Vibe with Kai podcast. It's your boy, Kai. And today we're talking about 8 tips for all of my introverts out there. 8 tips for how you can thrive in crowds and public spaces. Because I don't know if you're anything like me, I am an introvert and I don't like being in a public space if I don't have to. If I can avoid it, I'll do it. But sometimes I do find myself in a public space. So I wanted to kind of share my tips with all of my other fellow introverts out there because I think that you can get something out of it. So listen, as an introvert, navigating crowded spaces, it can seem like this very high wire act, right? And it's like you're doing that without a safety harness, which is frightening a lot of times, and it's very frustrating. And it's not just about the physical space that we're sharing with people, but it's also about the energy, the noise, and even worse, sometimes the social interaction. Oh my gosh. I don't want to talk. I don't like small talk. I don't want to talk. Sometimes I just want to go somewhere and not talk. But listen, as somebody who has been there, done that, and is currently writing a book about it, yeah, that's me. I'm writing a book about it. Should be out next year. Fingers crossed. Um, I have some tips for all the people because I do these things and I thought of some things that might be able to help you. And I want to share it with all of you, all my fellow introverts, with 8 tips on how introverts can thrive in crowds. If you have an introverted soul, number one, plan your escape route. Plan it, plan your escape route. I'm always looking for places where I can escape to like a little corner. Whenever I need to recharge my battery for a second, if it gets too overwhelming, I always have like a space or a place like mapped out that I know that I can go to. Knowing that there's a spot for me to recharge, it gives me this really satisfying like peace of mind, right? It's like I know that I have my own little private sanctuary out there amongst all of the chaos of people, right? So number one, plan your escape route. Number two, observe. The power of observation. I love to sometimes just sit and just to find a spot where I can just observe people doing people stuff. I can observe people peopling. It's actually quite entertaining to me to just kind of sit back and just look at people do things, right? It kind of helps me feel connected to the world without having that direct interaction with people. Like I'm like there, but like I'm kind of sitting back. I'm like an undercover agent, right? I'm like an introvert that's trying to like behave like an extrovert or make everybody think I'm an extrovert, but really I'm just an introvert in the background, just kind of like blending in and just kind of watching people. So I try to use that to my advantage too. I just kind of sit back and I just watch people, and that helps me feel like I'm part of that world without having like all of the interaction with people, right? Okay, so number one, find your escape route. Number two, the power of observation. Find a place where you can just sit and watch people do the peopling stuff. Number three, mindful breathing techniques. Introvert mindfulness. This is important in really any situation. Whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed, I start to focus on my breath. That's the most important part. I take deep, steady breaths. It's like a tranquility button that I get to push. I push that button of tranquility, and it helps calm me down. And I know it works for me. I hope it works for you too. And it definitely comes in handy when I feel like my senses are overloaded. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really, really helpful. Okay. So number one, plan your escape route. Number two, observe people. People watch. Number three, work on your breathing techniques. Number four, earphones. I know this like goes without saying, but man, I gotta tell you, earphones have saved my life, my introverted life. Oh God, I love headphones. I bought these Beats by Dre headphones. They're blue. Oh my God, they're the best thing because when I tell you it cancels out noise, it really does. I don't know how that technology does it, but it really does. Right. So I listen to some music. Sometimes I'll listen to a podcast. I'll listen to all that. Sometimes I'll just have the headphones in and I actually won't even be listening to anything. I'll just have them in so people will not bother me. So most of the time, people respect that little personal bubble that you create. Most of the time, people do, but there's always that one person that just does not respect your bubble at all. They just walk up to you. You clearly have headphones in, and they're like, "Hey, hello, what you doing?" Listening to music. I'm trying not to listen to you. That's the plan. Can't you see my headphones in? At my job, I have this rule, like so people know when to not bother me. Hopefully, none of my coworkers are listening to this because I'm about to tell a secret. So they know when I'm wearing my white headphones, that means I'm in a meeting. Don't bother me. When I'm wearing my blue headphones, that means I'm just listening to music or a podcast. So you're allowed to bother me. Sometimes I'll wear my white headphones just to to see if they'll actually bother me or not. They're actually really respectful. So shout out to my coworkers if they are watching this right now. Just know that I sometimes will put my white headphones in just so people don't bother me. It's because of my ADHD. My ADHD, like if I lose track of the thing that I'm hyper focused on, I'm done. Like that's it. I failed. Failure 100%. Okay, so let's recap. 8 tips on what to do for if you're an introvert and you found yourself in a crowded area. Number 1, plan your escape route. Number 2, observe. The power of observation. People watch. Number 3, work on your breathing techniques. Number 4, earphones. They go a long way. Number 5, this is one of my favorite ones. Set a time limit. Set a time limit. You know your limit when it comes to social interactions and peopling and public spaces. You know your limit better than anybody else. So give yourself a time to stay in that environment and know when that endpoint is. When you know what your endpoint is as an introvert, it's going to be a lot easier for you to grin and bear that public space, because you're saying to yourself, okay, I only have to deal with this for an hour and then I can bounce. I can go back home to my cat. I can go back home to my dog and go back home and watch Friends or whatever. Like, you know, you have like this time limit. When you know you have an endpoint, you're going to feel a lot better as an introvert in a public space. It's like a little trick that I play on my brain. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go here. I'm going to stay for like an hour and that's it. I'm out. Works every time. Number 1, plan your escape route. Number 2, observe. Number 3, mindful breathing techniques. Number 4, earphones. Number 5, set a time limit. Number 6, bring a buddy. Now, let me be very specific here because this is very important. There's a certain type of buddy that you need to bring. There's 2 types of buddies that you should bring. Don't just bring anybody. Number 1, if you have a friend that's an extrovert and that friend adopted you, they're an extrovert that adopted you and your introverted self, you can bring them because at least they know, they understand your introvertedness. So they can be their extroverted self, but they know to take care of their adopted introvert, right? You can bring them, or you could bring another fellow introvert who also can empathize with what you're going through. Both of these people, the extrovert that adopted you and the fellow introvert, both of them can serve as a social buffer and or kind of like a silent partner in crime. Bring one of those 2 people, you'll be okay. You'll be all right. Number 1, plan your escape route. Number 2, power of observation. Number 3, mindful breathing techniques. Number 4, earphones. Number 5, set a time limit. Number 6, bring a buddy, certain type of buddy. Number 7, this is for what happens after you're done with the crowd work. After you're done, you need to do some self-care. After you brave a crowd, after you brave some public situations as an introvert, it's time for you to treat yourself. My fellow introverted friends, you earned it. You just spent all that time with people, doing people stuff, and you're exhausted. You earned it. Go home and do whatever you got to do, whether it's reading a book, watching a TV show, whatever it is that you do when you know that you need to recharge your battery, go and fricking do it. Go do it. It's going to be so worth it. You earned that shit. So go do it. Number 1, plan your escape route. Number 2, power of observation. Number 3, breathing techniques. Number 4, earphones. Number 5, set time limits. Number 6, bring a buddy. Number 7, post crowd self-care. Do whatever you need to do to recharge that battery. And number 8, when it comes to 8 things that introverts can do to help themselves when they're in a crowded area. Number 8, embrace your introversion. Don't be afraid of it. It's not a flaw. We introverts, we're observant, we're empathetic, we're deeply introspective. Embrace that shit. I don't know about you, but I think that introversion is something that we should celebrate. So freaking celebrate it. It's nothing to be ashamed of at all. Nothing at all. Okay, so let's recap. 8 things. Thriving in crowds for the introverted soul. 8 tips for you. Number 1, plan your escape route. Number 2, observe, people watch. It's going to make you feel better. Number 3, mindful breathing techniques. Work on your breathing. Number 4, earphones. Beats by Dre. Works every time. Number 5, set a time limit. If you know how long you have to stay, how long you can stay, and then you can bounce, you're going to feel a lot better. Number 6, bring a buddy, but make sure it's either an extrovert that adopted you and understands your introverted ways, or it's a fellow introvert that can empathize with you and goes through the same shit as you. Number 7, make sure you take care of yourself after the post-crowd work. You earned it. You earned that. So embrace your introversion. Read a book, watch a TV show, whatever you want. And number 8, embrace your introversion. It's not a flaw. It's something that you can fully embrace, something that we should celebrate, my friends. With that said, my friends, thank you so much for listening. I hope that all of my fellow introverts out there got something out of this. If you did, please be sure to let me know in the comments what you think. And what are some of the things that you do as introverts to help you when you either before, during, or after you have to be in a crowded space? Whatever it may be, let me know. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. As always, much love, good vibes. Talk to you later. Bye.